Mr. Chairman, fellow speakers, and guest, who's not really a guest, you're an old timer now. What my speech is about really is not a speech in the traditional sense, but it's going to be more of a workshop. So if you want a title, it's Evaluating the Speech. Something that John alluded to earlier on was that we are a little bit short of people who are able and willing to evaluate a speech. And the one thing that really distinguishes us as a speaking club apart from other clubs is our evaluation. So it's really important that we get this right. And it's really how we learn. So evaluating a speech is something that is really important, that is a two-way process. The evaluator learns as much as the people who have given the speech learn. So it's something that because we've had a dropout tonight, I thought I might just run through with you, perhaps like a little workshop, what is behind evaluating the speech. And the first thing really is that you are not necessarily evaluating the content of the speech. It depends what level you're evaluating as well, but initially it's just, did somebody get up and manage to speak? If they did, fantastic, brilliant. Doesn't matter what they spoke about, they did it, they got over that first barrier. And then all the other parts, the A2, A3, A4, is about building on that. So you have to consider, if you've been asked or volunteered even to evaluate a speech, what level of speech you're going to evaluate and what is fair to that speaker when you evaluate them. So the evaluator is really there to give positive and constructive points in evaluation. If we're all here to learn, there's no point really in saying, gosh, that was a marvellous speech, well done, it was really well delivered, and actually it wasn't. Because that's not going to help, because that person could well go away and think, oh, brilliant, I'm a speaker, don't need to work any more on it. So it's how you say it that will help people. If you say it in a non-critical but just a nice constructive manner, they will take it on board because they know that's what they're here to do, they're here to learn. So try and pick out some of the positive aspects, but we do always give what we call learning points, and this is a nice way of saying criticism, but it's a nicer way of doing it and delivering it. And again, it's about encouraging people to get up. If they're doing a speech that has got a specific theme, so if it's about gestures, or it's about humour, or use of notes or something, that is something that you are going to be looking at in particular. Because it's not so much the content of the speech, but it's the way you deliver it. So that brings in the mannerisms, the little tics, like people say, things like that, that you might not notice because you do it in everyday speech, but when you do it in a prepared speech, it's going to notice, and you'll find that there'll be people saying, right, I'm going to give her 1 minute, and I'm going to see how many times she says like, or how many times she says so, or because they're not interested in what you've got to say anymore, because you've managed to turn them into, having a better game to play. So whilst your speech content is important, because you've got to grab their attention and try and relay whatever it is you want to say, it's also about how you say it. So we are looking at the mannerisms and the delivery. And of course into that comes your pitch, pause and pace, your use of voice, your use of mannerisms, your contact with everybody in the audience. Not to put them off, but if somebody thinks, crikey, she's looking at me, you better pay attention. You're going to draw them back in. So these are all things that you will be looking for when you're evaluating the speech. Sort of basic levels of evaluation is how do they deliver it? Because that's the important thing. Was it worth listening to? Did I learn anything? Was it interesting? Was it educational? Was it fun? Would I want them to speak again? And this is how you evaluate. And when you give your evaluation, your feedback, it's most important that you don't refer to the person as an individual with a name. You use this speaker. This speaker did this well. This speaker did that. This speaker could do a little bit better. And so we've all had a go, or a lot of us have had a go in the evaluation competition, but may not have really realised what they were doing. So that's just a few little pointers that we may all perhaps look at if we get asked or volunteer to do speech evaluation.